Hello, welcome to Game 1 of Old-Timers Trivia. Old-Timers Trivia, it's designed for old-timers. We won't be looking at any contemporary music, but we may have some music from the past. Music, personalities, events, we run the gamut. Now we have a setup just to see that you're seeing things well. So here's a sample question and another sample question. And now we begin for real. To Kill a Mockingbird was written by... I won't be reading the choices to you. I'll let you do that on your own. To Kill a Mockingbird. Question 2. How many witches were there in the book by L. Frank Baum, The Wizard of Oz? How many witches were there in the book by L. Frank Baum, The Wizard of Oz? Question 3. Which current company was originally named the Computing-Tabulating and Recording Company, CTR? Question 4. King Midas was king of... Question 5. What brand was known for getting rid of that ring around the collar? Question 6. Butch Cassidy's given name was... And our final question for round 1, where did buffalo wings originate? And now to our answers for round 1. To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee. Actually, I was thinking about asking a question about who the main character was. Maybe it'll show up at a later time. I was going to have, of course, the correct answer. But then I thought a second choice might be amicus brief. Or amicus brief. Witches in the book. There was one for each direction, north, south, east, and west. IBM, originally known as CTR. And this, I'm sure, was an easy one for you. King Midas was king of Phrygia. And you remember that commercial for Whisk? Sure you do. Six. Butch Cassidy. Of course, he was played by Paul Newman in the very good movie. I was going to say great, and I should say great. Great movie, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Certainly a favorite. And where did Buffalo Wings originate? Buffalo, New York. At the Anchor Bar, home of the original Buffalo Wings. So how did you do? Tally your scores. If you have a host, report them in, or a scorekeeper. And we'll move on to round 2. Question 1. Olivia Benson on Law and Order SVU is played by Mariska Hargitay. Her mother was... Question 2. What element begins with the letter K? Question 3. Zorro's been played by many actors, but which of the following actors never portrayed Zorro in the movies? Question 4. What is the name of the off-speed pitch that not only sinks, but moves from the pitcher's left side to the right as it approaches the batter? Question 5. To infinity and beyond is the tagline for which of the following? Question 6. When Cain, after killing Abel, was banished, he subsequently settled in... Actually, I got a lot of complaints about this one. I guess it was too difficult. But we'll leave it here and give you a shot at it. Question 7. This is an editorial cartoon portraying which of these gentlemen? And here we are in our answer round, number 2. Olivia Benson. She was the daughter of Jane Mansfield and Michael Haggerty. Which element begins with the letter K? Krypton. Yes, I know. The symbol for potassium is a K. Krypton. Which element begins with the letter K? And who never played Zorro in the films? Certainly Douglas Fairbanks. I'm pretty sure he was the first. The classic, Tyrone Power and the Mark of Zorro. You can see the image in the upper right-hand corner. And more recently, The Mask of Zorro, starring Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Now, of course, the film focuses primarily on Antonio Banderas, but in fact, Anthony Hopkins was, according to the film, the original Zorro, who later trains Antonio Banderas to take over the role. Reed Hadley, you can see him in the bottom right-hand corner, and he may be the more difficult one. He played Zorro in the serials or chapter plays, while Errol Flynn never played the role of Zorro, though he did play many adventuresome roles. Number 4. Well, I had to include some sports-related questions here for our major-time sport fans. I think the people that ended up viewing this were pretty much at a loss as to what the answer was, but I'm sure you'll do much better. And this one, certainly if you have young children or grandchildren, It should be a very easy one. To infinity and beyond, Buzz Lightyear. And like I said, I got into trouble with this one because it was too difficult. But this is for my biblical scholars. He subsequently settled in the land of Nod. Question 7. Boss Tweed. Now, I actually had one of our contestants in our home game who named them all. I actually included it for one of our players, especially for him. And unfortunately, he didn't show up for that game. But one of our other players surprised us by naming 2 of the 3 fellows behind Boss Tweed. And this is, of course, out of Tammany Hall. The cartoon, by the way, was one of many done by Thomas Nast. Okay, round 3. Let's step into the final round. Round 3, number 1. In Disney's Davy Crockett, Davy's pal, George Russell's, was played by which of the following? Actually, George Russell was a real person, though he did not die at the Alamo. Oh, spoiler alert, he did not die at the Alamo. And what was Efrem Zimbalist Sr.'s profession? I actually left this one open-ended. There are a number of answers that I've included, so I would think any one of those answers get your credit for this. Get your credit for this question. We see him portrayed on the right. I'm going to give you a moment to mull this one. Moving on to question 3. Which movie won Oscars in the 1939 Academy Awards for the following categories? Art direction, film editing, original musical score. (1939) was a big year. Giving you a few moments to mull this one too. Okay, got your answer? Round 3, question 4. Who was banned from baseball in 1920 after a highly successful 1919 World Series play, including a World Series record with 12 base hits? Again, another question for our sports fans. Question 5. Who was given a special Academy Award for Male Juvenile Actor in 1939? Again, 1939 was a special year, at least when it came to Hollywood. Moving on. We all remember Queen for a Day. Well, who hosted Queen for a Day? Who is your queen? Mom? Okay, the clock is counting down. Here we go. In Around the World in 80 Days, Phineas Fogg and his newly employed valet attempt to circumnavigate the world in 80 days for £20,000 wager. The valet's name is... If you haven't read the book, you've probably seen the movie. Okay. Now we move to our answers for round 3. Yes, Georgie Russell was played by Buddy Ebsen. Our other choices here were certainly well-established characters, sidekicks. Of course, this picture has Buddy in his Beverly Hillbillies attire. What was Efrem Zimbalist Sr.'s profession? Violinist, composer, teacher, conductor, director of the Curtis Institute of Music. He married Alma Gluck. They had 2 children, Maria and Efrem Zimbalist Jr. Of course, any of those we would count as a correct answer. Which movie won Oscars in the 1939 Academy Awards for the following categories: art direction, film editing, and original musical score? Now, this was probably a difficult one because 1939, of course, was a great year, and in fact, all of our answers are 1939 movies. But yes, The Adventures of Robin Hood, with, of course, Errol Flynn. Who was banned from baseball in 1920 after a successful World Series play, including 12 base hits? Shoeless Joe Jackson. There's Joe in the upper right. Obviously, Joe was not the only one, but he seems to be the one whose name lives on. Who was given a Special Academy Award for Male Juvenile Actor in 1939? Well, Mr. Andy Hardy himself, Mickey Rooney. Who hosted Queen for a Day? Jack Bailey. The last question. In Around the World in 80 Days, Phineas Fogg and his new valet attempt to go around the world in 80 days. And if you haven't read the book, you probably have seen the movie. Jean Passepartout. Hope I said that correctly. Okay, tally your scores for round 3. And we'll move on to the bonus question. Are you all tallied? Give you a second here, or 2 or 3. Our bonus question. First names of Abbott and Costello. There are many Abbott and Costello films, television program. Of course, Who's on First? One of their classic sketches. Are we ready for the answer? Here we go. Of course, Bud and Lou. And here you see the Bud and Lou's autographs. Actually, that was an image on something that I came across. So, and had authenticated on professional sports. What's that called? Authentication? Just sort of a fortuitous find. Okay, well, we've had a good time here. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook as OldTimers Trivia. Your contributions help keep OldTimers Trivia alive. Please go to DonorBox and support OldTimers. Thank you. Plus, you can visit our OldTimers store on eBay. We put up new items regularly, and you can subscribe to our newsletter on eBay. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget we have the following editions: the original edition for team play, the challenge edition for tougher team play, and the quick edition. The quick edition does not have the delays for group discussion, delays for the tallying of points. It's for someone who wants to play more quickly, maybe playing on their own, and so you have your options. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in the next game.